Here we go. Okay, perfect. Yay, we did it. Oh, it was the
We
anxiety.
did it.
Glad that it's working. Good morning, everybody. Gabrielle here. I'm the admin of this group if you've never met me before. And I am extremely excited to have Micala Quinn here because before we were live streaming, I was telling her that her directory changed my life. It's how I found my online business manager and some other great VAs that have I can't even, like, I can't live without them. They have helped me so much in my business. They do everything for me. It is how all of these things run behind
Yeah.
the scenes. And I know we even had a question in the group today about hiring a VA and what they can do for you. So we are going to talk all about that. If you're watching this live, feel free to put some questions down in the chat. I'll have it open on my phone, and we'll make sure that we get to those. And if you are watching the replay, just put hashtag replay, and we will make sure we come back and answer those questions too. So I think to get started, Micala, if you could just tell people a little bit about like who you are and your program, how you started it, and the fun storytelling
Yeah.
background.
So my name is Micala Quinn. I'm based out of Kansas City. My background, before I, got into having a business and doing what I do now, was education. I taught high school English for 4 years. My first year teaching, I got married or was planning a wedding. Yeah. Second year, got married, got pregnant, like back to back. And then third year teaching, I just had my first baby. And that's when I kind of was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be putting my kid in daycare, and was like, maybe I could be a stay-at-home mom, and brought that idea to my husband, and he just laughed at me and was like, we just bought a house and you picked the house at the very top of our budget because you were going to work and blah, 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 blah. So he crushed those dreams, and I just had to stay working, and it was a really hard year. And after I had a pity party, I just started kind of trying to figure out, how can I work from home, still make the income we need, be with my family, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, it led me to freelancing. I got started as a virtual assistant in 2016, worked with business coaches, people who ran agencies, people who were kind of in like the fitness and health and wellness industry, just all sorts of varieties of clients that had businesses. Some had brick and mortars, most of them were online businesses, and I just did administrative stuff for them virtually. And I thought I won the jackpot. I was like, oh my gosh, these people are paying me to check their email inbox or update a Google Doc or, do something that they could very well easily do themselves. I'm like, what is going on? Why aren't they just doing them themselves instead of paying me? But hey, I was so happy to be paid. Um, I did that on the side while I was still teaching. Um, my fourth year, I got pregnant. I was pregnant with my second. And so, the goal was to end that year on maternity leave and not go back to the classroom. By the time I was on maternity leave, I had tripled what I was making as a classroom teacher, working 15 hours a week, and quit, and never looked back. And so then that led me to eventually having my own online courses and programs to teach other moms how to start a business so that they too can have the same freedom, flexibility, and financial stability that I had, while supporting other business owners around the world, essentially. And so, yeah,
Yay.
I've been running that program since 2017. It's been refined and updated throughout the years, but over 4,000 women now have gone through that program and started their business. And one thing that I like to do on the side of that is helping other business owners connect with freelancers who are looking to hire. So that's a big question. Like, okay, I need support. Where do I go? Am I supposed to post on Indeed? Like, do I go to Upwork? And those are both options, but I think I would recommend coming to me. We have a free service where you can fill out a quick form that describes what you're looking for, your budget, all of that. And then women who kind of match your needs will contact you. And these women, most of them are all college educated corporate experience who are just looking to take their skills that they've honed over the years and find something that works more for their stage of life and season of life that they're in right now.
Hmm. Which like when I found this, I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for
Yeah.
because and how I found it actually was another therapist who was, if people are watching this, you might have heard of Therabundle because we've all like done a lot of promoting for that.
Yeah.
And there was a therapist who was in Therabundle with me, and she's also a copywriter. And I thought
Hmm.
I needed a copywriter. So I met with
Hmm.
her, and she was asking me all these questions about my business. And she was like, not to not give myself a client, but you don't need me. You need like an online business manager. And I was like,
Yeah.
I do. I would love one of those. Where are they? How do I find them? Because Upwork and Fiverr, I'm like, that just feels like it's too overwhelming. People's experience is like, I need somebody who really just like kind of understands mental health and like gets
Yeah.
what it's like to like work in this world. And so she was like, well, this directory is where I found mine, and I've been working with this person for 3 years. And so I'm
Yeah.
on micalaquinn.com/hire.
Yeah. And that's where I filled my team. I've been working with my director of operations for similar to an online business manager for 7 years, over 7 years. My executive assistant for 5 years, my marketing person for 5 years, like just long-term consistency, women that truly care about you and your business and have that shared background. There's lots of women that have been um, working in mental health,
Mhm.
either as therapists themselves that are looking to transition out, or have done the administrative side in a clinical setting and want to do that, still work in that industry, still support um,
Yeah.
though, like, support that industry, but in a way that just fits their life a little bit better. And I will share this, I haven't had a normal work week. I already only work about 15 hours max a week right now because I have 4 kids. um I haven't had a normal work week since before Christmas because everyone's been sick. Then we've had snow days. Then our nanny's been out of town for the last 2 weeks. And I've been working maybe 3 to 5 hours a week if I'm lucky. And it's all because I have a team that we have systems and processes. And really, I'm only needed for such a small part. And it's just amazing. I do not believe in starting a business. I see those memes all the time. It's like you traded in your 9 to 5 for a 24/7
Mhm.
365 days a week. And I'm like, absolutely not. That is not what I did. And I refuse to do that.
I love hearing that because that's what I did the first time.
Mhm.
So the second time around, I could see it happening again. And I was like, now that I'm doing coaching and consulting, like
Mhm.
I don't need to be screwing around in Canva for like
Mhm.
3 hours, which I will. I don't do this anymore, but anytime I go into Canva, I can never get the formatting right. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? This is not a me problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will also say something that you just mentioned about like women supporting business owners. That just really resonated with me because I hear this a lot in my coaching and consulting clients where they're like, well, I feel guilty for delegating. I feel like I shouldn't have to ask somebody. I should just do it myself. And Christina, who's my OBM, she loves it. She's like, why
Mhm.
are you doing that? That's not you. You don't
Yeah.
need to be screwing around in Canva. Just send it to me. I will do it
Yeah.
for you. I'm like here to support you and make your life easier. And just
Yeah.
like hearing that is just so lovely because that's who you want supporting you in your
Yeah.
business is people who like they get the vision and they're going to take accountability. And so Christina knows that like when she helps me and that's like her role, then I get to do my roles better.
Mhm.
We all thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just looking if there's any questions because I see there's people watching live. So if you have questions, drop them below. I'll also say when I first went on there and I did put my job ad out, I got a lot of therapists, which was
Mhm.
really cool because I was like, oh, you get the industry, you could do
Mhm.
copywriting or like you understand kind of like the lingo and those types of
Mhm.
So there's lots of options out there, but everyone that I've found, I have Christina and then I have somebody else who's also a VA, and they're just like, they just get it. I never have to like over explain things. I don't have to follow up on things. They just
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Now, that can be normal in the beginning. Like the first 30 to 60 days, there should be a lot of over communication on the freelancers and just to make sure that they're getting things done right and how you want them. And it should be like a mutual conversation process. No one's going to come in and nail everything perfectly the first time.
Yeah, that's a good point because in the beginning, yes, there was lots of over communication and also like a lot of, especially like I'm even thinking with like Canva, um,
Hmm.
like, is this your branding? Do you really like
Yeah.
this way? Like and then also another thing Christina did was like, we really need to nail down your branding, like
Yeah.
your fonts and your colors. We're seeing a lot of different things. What are like shapes that you like to use in the background?
Hmm.
Like those types of things. And then once you do it once, then it's just there. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it every time.
Yeah. For sure. And I think one thing I had to learn, especially when it came to anything that was like social media, caption writing, or like email writing, anything marketing related, um, in the beginning, Stacy would like do that, send it to me. Sometimes I would just go in the beginning, I would just go in and make changes because I'm like, oh, this is so quick for me to just go in and make changes. Well, that's not going to help her long term. So what I
Mhm.
had to start doing was we use Voxer. I use Voxer. That's the only communication I will talk to someone in. And so I'll just Voxer and be like, hey, this is perfect. Da 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 needs to be changed. I will never say this word. Please don't ever use this phrase again. I would say it this way. And so she would learn. And now, since we've been working together 5 years, she'll do things. And I'm like, yep, perfect, no changes.
Mhm.
Because I put in that effort in the beginning to like give that feedback, but let her go and make those changes. And of course, it always wasn't once and done. It took a couple times to, hey, remember, and but now it's super easy.
Hey, I know that's what we get to. And I mean, that's important though, is like you want somebody who's going to ask you those questions and say things.
Uh-huh.
Is this in your voice? Is this, I've had to do the same thing with my social media manager too, or other VAs where I'm like, I don't use that word. Or
Yeah.
somebody actually wrote an email for us for something last year around Halloween, and it said like spooktacular savings. And we were like, I don't say the word spooktacular. That's not a gab word. And now we know like we don't say things like that, but it just takes time. And then again, like when you stick with these people, then they know how you're going to say things and you don't have to like always be involved, but it just takes time
Mhm.
to prepare. What are some things that, like before we got on, you had shared something really helpful with me that I want to make sure we get to. And
Yeah.
I think I loved that document. So I don't know if you want to share your screen or I can share mine,
Yeah.
or even just like walk us through because I think the biggest thing that I hear is like, what can they do for me and how do I know what they can do? So I think like your document that you have put together is really helpful in under letting people understand like this is what you can delegate. And
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead and share that. Is it working?
yes.
Okay. And then, Gabrielle, you are free to share that link and it'll force everyone to make a copy so they can use this in their own day to day in their own business. But the first thing when you're trying to hire, like maybe you're at that stage, you're like, I am burnt out, I am overworked, I'm overwhelmed, there's things I want to do, but I don't have the time to do, or I'm just working so much, I want to enjoy more time with my family. Whatever that is, a lot of people get stuck at, okay, but what would I even delegate? What could someone even do for me? So the first step is to just do kind of a brain dump. And I want you to start by thinking of all of the tasks that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, even yearly basis, and just brain dump that all down. Get that all on paper. And this can be a working document. You don't have to have it perfect from the start, but spend about 15 to 20 minutes at least just thinking and jotting stuff down. The next step after that, you'll go through and start to narrow down different tasks. Cross out all the things that have to be done by you. So, like if I wrote, Um, Facebook Lives. Okay, that has to be me. Except I've recently hired someone to take over doing my live workshops for me, and that has been amazing. She's a former student. She's supported students in the role in our programs. And now she came to me one day and was like, hey, anything else you want help with? I don't even know how to edit a Google document. I don't know how to get.
That would be me. That's how I am. I'm like a boomer with technology now.
So pretend that's strike through. I don't know how to get that. But I would cross out those things. And then highlight in red all the tasks you hate doing. These are the things that maybe you just despise doing, but they have to get done. They're important, but you don't love doing them. They don't bring you joy. And then in orange, maybe highlight the tasks that take up a ton of your time. Maybe this is like email inbox management. Maybe it's billing. I don't know what that looks like, but things that take up a ton of time, orange. And then in green, mark the things that you enjoy doing and want to keep doing, because you won't start by delegating those, right? Let's get either the time consuming tasks off your plate or the things that don't bring you joy off your plate first. So then step 3 would be to plan for the future. What are tasks that aren't getting done that either need to be done or you wish were getting done, but you just don't have time to do yet? Maybe that's starting an Instagram channel. Maybe it's pitching yourself to get on more podcasts. Maybe it's doing local networking with other businesses in your area, or doing some local speaking at various events in your community. So brainstorm those tasks and or projects that you would love to add. And again, here you can go through and color code the ones that have to be you and the ones that you could potentially outsource and delegate.
Mhm.
And then from there, start to combine the tasks into different roles. So there's lots of different positions you could hire for outside of just virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is going to be a general administrative assistant. They can take over and do a lot of different things, some social media tasks, some copywriting tasks, some administrative like email inbox management tasks, billing, payroll, those kind of things. But they're not necessarily going to be an expert in everything, but they're like an extra pair of hands to get things done. If you're looking for an expert in a specific area, then you would want to be hiring for that specific role. For example, if like hiring a social media manager and really growing um, your Instagram and becoming like a thought leader there, maybe it's more important to you to hire an expert in Instagram, an expert in social media. And so you would put, social media manager, but maybe also you have a virtual assistant role that dream to hire for as well. Other freelance roles, there could be a copywriter, someone to come in and handle copywriting. If you have like a funnel that needs built, they could handle the sales page, thank you page, email follow-ups after the email sequence after that. Trying to think what else. If you need a website, like you would hire a web designer. But a virtual assistant, if you're kind of just getting started with delegating, typically a virtual assistant tends to be a great place to start with. Or there's also an online business manager. Now, the difference between online business manager and virtual assistant is going to be online business manager is more like right hand to you, the owner of the business. They're going to be like the COO. They're going to help take your vision, take your ideas, and put that into action plans and then make that plan happen. Some online business managers will do some implementation, but a lot of times they're just more big picture, and then they're managing the rest of the team, delegating the different pieces that need to get done. Whereas the virtual assistant is going to be very much implementation focused, task doers. You hand them a task, they get it done. And then after you kind of have the roles down, get your budget. What's your budget? Is your budget $500 a month to start with? Is it $1,000? Is it $2,000? What is your budget to start with? And then start prioritizing what you need to hire for first. Maybe that's a virtual assistant. What's that virtual assistant is in and taking over maybe 10 hours of off your plate a week. That gives you 10 extra hours to continue to grow the business. Once that growth has taken over, then maybe you can hire with the revenue from that um, a social media manager or someone to help take the marketing off your plate or one of those more specialized services off your plate and kind of continue.
Mhm.
But one thing I think it's important to know before hiring is what is your motivation for hiring? Is your motivation to save you time so that you can enjoy your family more? Or is it ultimately to save you time so that you can continue to grow the business more? Because hiring a virtual assistant in and of itself is not going to make you more money. You have to have a plan of, okay, this person is taking over X amount of hours for me, saving me X amount of hours a month. Now, what can I do with that time to
Exactly.
grow the business? And Gabrielle, I think that's kind of where you can help
Mhm.
them on, what those projects and tasks should be doing now that they have time to focus on some of the growth strategies.
Yep, exactly. Because that is your job, in my opinion. As as a business owner, as a CEO, like you're the visionary. That's
Mm-hmm.
you, and you need time to do that. And you can't do that if you are answering emails, or if you're like fixing stuff on the website, or if you're like me and you're in Canva trying to make something look perfect for 3 hours but you can't figure out like the formatting. Like that is not going to help you keep growing the business. Like your job as the CEO and the owner and the founder is like I said, you're the visionary. You need to be future thinking. What do you want? What's going to bring in more revenue? How can we keep building out these programs and keep scaling or stabilizing depending on where you're at, right? Like only you can do that.
Yeah.
But again, there's no time to do that if you are just trying to put filters into your Gmail
Yeah.
for hours.
Right. And um, like your budget, depending how low or large it is, like there's freelancers that can work with that. If you're on the starting out end, most virtual assistants will charge an hourly rate anywhere from on the lowest end 25 up to 40 an hour, depending on experience and their backgrounds. But 25 to 40 is the range for someone hourly, and you can kind of use that to determine, okay, how many hours of support do I want a month? Do I want to start with 10 hours a month? Do I need 10 hours a week? And kind of go from there to plan that budget.
Mhm.
And then also on this document, I have, because once you have what you want to hire first, you need to kind of put together a job description. So the person who, you can post this and share this with different people hiring or who are looking to kind of potentially apply for that role. This is what I use when we hire. Take this, tweak it however you want, if you want. But I think there's a lot of things I like about this kind of process of hiring. You want to have an apply by date and specific instructions on how you want people to apply or express interest. Some people will have a Google form or a type form that they want people to fill out. I am very, very simple.
Mhm.
um, I just want people to send me an email answering these questions. So I have kind of the templated version, and then I have it filled in with like my example of when we hired our VA back in 2020.
Mhm.
And I just wanted them to send me an email with these questions. And so when like I'm not getting on discovery calls with everyone who applies, I'm getting on discovery calls with max 2 people.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm using these questions to determine their answers to this. I want it simple in an email. Um, and as they're coming in, or I usually don't wait until they apply by deadline. Then I'll go through and quickly sort yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then I'll narrow the yeses down to my top two, talk
Mhm.
to those people and make my decision from there.
That's
Uh,
helpful because I know
yeah.
when I did mine, I got like 35 or 40 responses, which
Yeah.
was great. I was like, I'm happy that so many people want to do this, but it did feel overwhelming. So, and I did not do something like that. Like, I didn't say answer these questions or
Mhm.
like anything. So that's really helpful to kind of, again, just like funnel and narrow it down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. So like when I was hiring a virtual assistant, I looked mostly at the hourly rate. I wanted to make sure it was in line with what I wanted, or aligned with my budget. And then the next thing I looked at was, where do you see your business in 12 months? Because some women just getting started, I was really looking for someone who I thought would be happy in a behind the scenes administrative role long term.
Mhm.
Um, and so those were kind of the two questions that I really honed in on, of like, okay, narrowing down. And you can take these questions, make your own, come up with your own, or use these, whatever. And again, it could be in a type form or whatever is most easiest for you. But for me, if I have to keep going into different software, I get ADHD and distracted and then don't stay focused. So that helps me tremendously. And then once you have that done, if you're looking of where to go to find the perfect person for your team, we do have that hire form and it's linked there. And you'll just it's a simple Google form that then gets submitted to our if it's falling asleep, it gets submitted to the women in the program, and just some basic questions. And you can copy and paste the link if you have a job description, or you can copy and paste it here, whatever's easiest. And then women who are interested and kind of match what you're looking for will send you over an email or fill out your application.
Yay. Easy
Um,
peasy.
Easy peasy. And if like kind of once, if I could just talk through what the process looks like,
Yeah.
Gabrielle, if you think that would be helpful, from like, okay, you post and then what?
Yeah. That's
Um,
totally.
so once you kind of know who you're hiring for, you would post it, whether you don't feel obligated to use the hire form. I would love if you did. But if you have somewhere else you want to go, take that and run with it. But you would post it or share it, and then you would kind of, go through the applicants, narrow it down. You would do a discovery call, potentially with your top 2 to 3 candidates. Any more than that is just going to get overwhelming. And I would start with your top 2. If you get on the call with them and neither of them seem like what you want to move forward with, then I would go to someone else from your list. But then once you've kind of narrowed it in and you selected the person, they'll send you a proposal just outlining the agreement. They'll send you a contract, and then they'll send you an invoice. Once all 3 of those are taken care of, you guys can move forward with the onboarding process. The freelancer should be the one kind of running the discovery call, not to say you can't bring your questions with you, but they're coming at it kind of trying to figure out what you need help with to determine if they're the right fit to help you. They'll give you time to ask your questions and such there. And then when it comes time to the onboarding, they should be the one kind of running that process as well. And so but it makes it super helpful if you have this list of tasks you want outsourced, especially when it comes to a virtual assistant. Because depending on, the package of hours that you're purchasing from them, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40 plus a month, um, you'll then kind of dictate to them, okay, these are the things I need you to do daily. Monday through Friday, I need this done. On Wednesdays, this needs to happen. Fridays, this. And then every month on the 1st, you need to do this, that sort of thing. And then when it comes time to onboard, most freelancers, if they're doing things how I teach inside the program, they'll have an onboarding kickoff call with you, and they'll record it. And then you'll go through the list of tasks one by one. They should be getting all the password and login information they need from you. And then you running through, okay, to do this, you do X, Y, Z. If you have standard operating procedures ahead of time, that's super easy to get that done. If you don't, that's not a big deal. They can kind of guide you to creating that SOP through the onboarding call. Then they can go and create it, type it out, and then just have it for themselves while they start to complete these tasks.
Mhm.
But if you're not sure where to start, the two things that saved me the most time in the very beginning was email inbox management, email communication. I had a list of some people be like, how can someone manage my inbox and respond as me? It takes some time, but you probably have a list of the same types of questions you get. You can have a canned response type that they can take and modify for each email that comes in because every question or whatever is going to be a little bit nuanced, but they can have that start and to use and send. In the beginning, it's best if they go in and type a response, send it to you, say, hey, here was the email, here's my response. Similar
Mhm.
to how if you had a marketing person, so you could say, actually, I would answer and respond by da 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 da.
Mhm.
That maybe is like the first month, or maybe even like the first 2 weeks, depending on the volume of emails. And then they'll have that set. And depending on your comfort level, you can either let them send them as you, or they can just go in and create reply but not send. So then you can go in and review, and then you can be the one to hit send. For
Mm.
me, I just need it responded to and sent in most cases. If there's ever anything, occasionally my assistant, every morning she goes in and sends me screenshots of emails I need to be aware of.
Mhm.
And then if there's something she's like, hey, how would you want to respond to XYZ? I just box her over. Here's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I know that seems kind of silly, but if I go into my email, I'm going to get distracted. I'm not going to respond. I'm such a verbal person. It's so much easier for me to just word vomit. She can take that, make it legible, and send it.
I do the
Uh,
exact same thing. I love
But
voice.
email, yes, email inbox management and then social media posting. Because in the
Yeah.
beginning, I didn't have someone doing the marketing and social media for me. It was still me, but I would have it like made and batched in advance, and then she could just take it and post.
Yep. Those are two really good starting points, I think.
Hmm.
Love that.
And then, yeah, like if on your wish list, if you have this huge wish list of all these things, but your budget maybe is only for 10 to 15 hours a month to start with like the top two most important things. Prioritize the top two things. As you get in a groove with and more comfortable with your virtual assistant, you can increase the hours and increase the tasks and projects you hand over to them.
Mhm. Perfect. This is so helpful. Awesome. Anything else? I'm going to drop the link to this where it will force you to make a copy, by the way, into the chat below. And I'm also going to put the link for the directory to hire below as well. I saw some folks watching live, but I don't see any questions. So if you're watching this later and you have questions, put hashtag replay and we'll come back and answer them.
Yeah.
But is there anything else, Michaela, that you would want to leave us with?
Gosh, I don't. I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
cool.
think so. Yeah.
This was so helpful. Again, I am so grateful for you. You didn't know, but you know now that really truly changed my life and my business and everything that I was doing. I honestly don't know how I was doing it myself, but it's now happening a lot easier and a lot faster and a lot more streamlined. And I get to do the things that I love doing, so I don't get
Mhm.
out, being in my
Yeah.
email or in Canva. I hate Canva.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
See, I loved Canva. I loved doing that because that was one of the things I loved doing for my clients. For
Yeah.
me, so I kept that on when I was hiring, but then it got to a point I'm like, this is taking so much time. This does not need to be me.
I think a lot of people love it because it can be fun because you are creating.
Hmm.
I just find that I get too like in the weeds with it and I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, no, this template is better. Oh, no, this one is. And then
Yeah.
I finally pick one and I can't get like the formatting and the margins right. So I'm like, that is something someone else gets to do now.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you again. Again, I will put the links below if you are looking to hire a VA or a freelancer. This is the best starting point. So I have the link to this Google Doc where you can make a copy of it and fill it out yourself, and then the link to the directory where you can post your job.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. And if any questions come up, just feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you again for taking the time to be with us this morning. Have a good Monday.
You too. Bye.
Bye.